Whoa, that just ends too fast. I gotta fix that. That's just bad. I don't think we have anybody watching at all, which is good. But anyway, so apparently I stirred up the hornet's nest. My kids, when they were young, they used to call hornets hornuts.
Okay, that works.
Why are you snickering?
Hornets. So I stirred the hornet nest when I went over on Jim Bob, made a comment, and then we did the video, and then I made a comment, and they started looking at my video, and this one guy, Jeremy Invictus, is going on about no, you have to defend physicalism and blah 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 and all this shit. So
now, does he know the difference between physicalism and materialism? Which I don't know that that's a fair question, because I kind of am not sure about the difference. Although physicalism seems to be the best best term that describes how I believe.
The interesting thing about that is if you say the word materialism, you don't mean a particular philosophical genre, right? It says more than that. Materialism kind of got carved or crafted in like the 1940s, 1950s over that atomic bomb era, when people were pushing back against capitalist greed and against scientism and science. And the word materialism has a whole bunch of stinky affiliations, right? And so it's almost a dirty word.
Right.
And the same thing happened with scientism. But, so the bottom line is everybody, when they use these labels, has their own particular version of it. Like Lance Independent doesn't like the word physicalist for I forget what his main reason was, but it's a reason I agree with. But I do use the term physicalist, right? So these are just labels. So now the question is, what is an atheist, and what do we mean when we say I am an atheist, right? And I think everybody, there are as many meanings to that as there are atheists, but we can put it in different camps. Like some people mean, I just don't fucking believe in your story. And that's pretty simple, right? I put it pretty succinctly, I think, at the end of all this. Where the hell am I at here? Oh, I wanted to show. I wanted to ask you about Romans 1:2:2. Okay. There's a reason to that. Let's see. Come over where? Let's see. What do you mean?
Do you have it up to put on screen, or do we just need to go to a Bible?
I do. I do, but just a minute here. So we want Christians to defend propositions. We should all try. Oh, maybe we should get to that later, because I fucking...
Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. They pretended to know it all, but were illiterate regarding life. Well, that is just a freaking straw man. It's an assessment by religious hardliners about the other. So that's just a freaking... It's nothing. It's not evidence. It's a reflection of somebody's opinion at a certain point in time that certain people at this point in time now use to ad hom non-believers and other people. So it's just lousy ad hominems.
Like we were saying before we started too, real quick, is that most people are not using philosophical and scientific arguments to reach their conclusions, or to use a word like I'm a materialist, because to me it means that the same thing as science can only study what is material. So they materialist, you're crazy materialist, blah blah blah. And it's like, look, for everyday folks, it just means I accept things that are material, and I haven't seen any things that are not material. That's all. It doesn't have to be so oh, you haven't studied for 20 years at Stanford or whatever. And it's like, well, most people are never going to do that, you know?
Okay, so here's a thread. Materialism is for fools says, I understand how you attempt to justify it on a conceptual level. Part of that process is smuggling in metaphysical concepts coupled with arbitrary presuppositions. So, and I said, how do I do that? You know, so
if you could take a can of Spam, mush it up, leave it out on the porch one summer afternoon, and then transform it into English words, that would be the paragraph you would get.
Yeah. So anyway, when I asked him how I do that, he said Romans 1:2:2, and I said I don't do Bible speak. Pick a better book for me. So Romans 1:2:2, if we go and look at it, I don't understand how that answers his question. I don't get it.
Basically, you think you're so smart, Mike.
Yeah.
Answers in atheism, speed of sound. You think you're so smart, you're really a fool.
And Andrew says, for many folks, hearing materialist might also sound like you're a very money or economy-based person. So again, it's for everyday folks, it can be a loose terminology.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That view of materialism got crafted in the 50s and 60s. And that became what a materialist was. So materialist became a bad word. So philosophers adopted the term physicalist to be a little broader. And then the other thing is somebody come along and said, well, what about energy? And it's like, oh, fuck.
Well, that's the thing, too, is in materialism, the way I understand it, not the social slang meaning of materialism, but the philosophical one, it really means matter. You know, all that exists is matter. But yeah, sort of, but it's more nuanced than that, like everything. So physicalism just,
so it
seems like it includes more ideas than materialism would allow.
Yeah, I get really confused when they throw the Bible at me. So maybe you can help me. Okay, claiming to be wise, they become fools. Now then it says in the NIV version, the verse continues. Does that mean it doesn't continue in other versions? And
well, at BibleStudyTools.com, which is what first came up, verse 22 says, "Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools." And then it goes on and continues. But I don't know if maybe there was a different text variation or something that included more words in that particular verse.
Yeah. Exchange the glory of immortal God for images made to look like mortal human being and birds and animal. What the fuck are they talking? Oh my God.
That is their pseudo-historical explanation, or at least Paul's pseudo-historical explanation for how we got idol worship and paganism.
Okay, yeah, okay.
In other words, they thought they were so smart, they decided they were going to worship images and whatever concepts behind them, but actually they became fools and they should have been worshiping the one true God, but no, they were worshiping all these other gods. It's just a way to say you're stupid because you don't believe the way I believe.
Right.
And it's creating a false historical narrative, kind of like you see in politics today.
There's one of the versions is claiming to be wise. They instead became utter fools. They pretended to know it all, but were illiterate regarding life. So it's calling you a know-it-all. Oh, you just know it all.
Yeah, and and we could throw that back at anybody. I mean, that's just ad hominem bullshit.
Yeah, well, you're just saying it's God, so you're saying it's a know-it-all. So yeah, it gets you nowhere.
And that is an actual ad hominem, because instead of he's referring to my argument and he's saying, oh, you just you're doing this thing so I can just disregard your argument, right?
Yeah.
It's not just an insult. Anyway, okay, so there's that, and that was part of it. But let's go. Oh, let's see where we're going to go here. I want to introduce a term first of all, which I think is pretty powerful. PTFS, YouTube. Let's see if this works. Does that work? Oh no, that's not working. Oh, hang on a second, guys. We got some problems. We got some technical issues. God damn it. Here we go. We'll try that. Okay.
I'm fighting my dogs for leg room here at this desk because it's thundering outside and they're just huddling under my legs. So I may lose connection at some point, depending on what the weather does.
Yeah, birds and reptiles from animals. Birds and animals and reptiles. I don't know, Andrew. God knows. Well, you know, they're kind of old. Yeah, the Bible contradicts itself, Michael Bell says. Okay. So anyway, the word is sea shag, kind of like sea hag. Christian superhuman agent God. Okay. So now I'm arguing with this guy named, what is his name? Jeremy Invictus, right? And he's like, oh no, you know, you atheists, you have to, atheism means physicalism and materialism. Well, bullshit, it does. There's a lot of people that don't believe in the Christian superhuman agent God. Bernardo Kastrup, for instance, he believes in some uber consciousness. Isn't really, well, maybe it's kind of like probably a bad example that I gave him, but a lot of people believe in like the Gaia, like the earth has its own spirit and it's seeking balance in the universe or whatever. And they're, you know, they believe in woo and they don't call themselves physicalists, but they still don't believe in the Christian superhuman agent God. So when I say I'm an atheist, that's all I mean. I don't believe in the Islam or Christian superhuman God, right? Who's omnipotent, ambivalent? What do I want to say? Ambivalent might be a good word for the whole thing. Anyway, omniscient, omnipresent, whatever. And he's an agent God. So he has a plan, God's will for us. Like God is up there thinking, plotting, planning, scheming, watching, adjusting, deciding what he's going to do, right? Yeah. And there's different versions in Christianity about how much God knows, about whether you're going to come to God or whether you're not, or, you know, you have free will and all that bullshit. But the bottom line is they are imagining a human-like thing that is an agent that plans, plots, thinks, experiences, that God is experiencing the creation, right? So God is aware of the creation. How could he be omniscient if he wasn't aware of the creation? So they're imagining a human-like mind, and it's a superhuman because he has all these powers. Does that make sense to you guys? That's what we're railing against. That is the God that we don't believe in.
It's a God made in the image of themselves.
Right, made in the image of man. Yeah. And there, you know, there are plenty other conceptions of God you can come up like the crystal people believe there's energy in crystals, and there's the pagan people that believe in like this life force energy, but it doesn't
impersonal forces rather than a personal God.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just there's all versions of it. So anyway, So let's look at his comments and see what he's trying to do to me, and see why I'm pushing back against it.
Real quick, you came up with sea shag?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I like sea shag, yeah.
That's fine. I like that. I just wanted to give attribution to the correct person. Yeah, the thing too about this superhuman agent, which makes me want to sing the song "Secret Agent Man" for some reason. Great little song. But call it Super Agent Man. But it's the whole idea of deity anyway. what do we mean by deity? Because 400 years in the future, if we haven't, just totally been blown off the face of the earth by cosmic or man-made forces, we're going to have technologies available that would make me seem like a god to even people from this generation, from our generation, much less from the 19th century or from, the 19th century BC. And so would it be appropriate then for them to worship me if I should, go back in time or whatever, or could go back in time and set up shop? And would it be appropriate for them to worship me because I am more powerful? I could probably teach them agricultural secrets that they have no idea of. I could make it rain. I could make crops grow. I could
flick a bick, make fire out of your hand. Yeah,
and they'll be sacrificing deer and sheep to you all day long.
Yeah.
So what if we encounter a species from another planet that just has higher technology or different capabilities than we do, and claims to be God because they wouldn't mind having a bunch of primates like us serving them and being a low paid labor source for them. How do you determine an actual deity from that? And
or just somebody from another land. There's stories that, let's say, Jesus went to India and learned all kind of things, or went to China and learned some medicines or something, and then brought it back. That would seem very magical to him too.
Some people have suggested that Jesus had a little bit of an Eastern influence going on, but anyway, it's so fucking obvious that they just come up with, and I'm sorry, but they were sheep herders' tales from way back before we had science, and they somehow formed this Christian body of myth. And they wrote a fucking book 2,000 years ago, and it's just garbage. It's all garbage, and that's what I don't believe in. I don't believe your myth, boys and girls. And
it's 2,000 years, but then you've got at least another 2,000 years of storytelling before that, and then how many years of storytelling before Judaism ever showed up, or Hinduism, or any of the other older ones? So yeah, you've got a big knowledge base, so to speak, of stories to pick from.
Oh, really? Michael Bell, supposedly Jesus did go to Asia in the missing years. Yeah, I've heard that. Too.
Yeah, it's possible. They don't have anything about his life, right? There's a big missing chunk. He's born, he has his about his bar mitzvah age, and then nothing.
Turns 30. Yeah.
Then he turns 30. So it's possible that he, followed the spice routes or whatever they called it, and went on a learning journey, a walkabout.
And then they quickly nail him to a board, and that's it. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, because he dared bring back some things that were odd or something, some new ideas.
Yeah. So the comment thread starts out: how does anyone suffer through atheism? You'll never have a single argument, just blah, blah, blah. So that's where it starts. Okay, do we have arguments for atheism? And, the argument for atheism is I just have no grounds to believe in what you believe in. Okay, so that's what I got. That's number one. I don't have a reason to believe, and I put it a little more powerfully later on, but we'll see. So anyway, so then what do we got? I said, why do you think we need an argument for atheism? Do you mean an argument for physicalism? Look, dude, I simply do not believe your dogma. Never have in all my life. Quit dodging. You need to give me an argument for why I should suddenly start to believe your little story. Your little story. Right? You imagine Al Pacino. Anyway, so
say
then,
hello to my little friend.
yeah. So then Jeremy Invictus starts in. Yeah, thankfully people are finally figuring out this trick you try to play. First of all, it's perfectly reasonable for people to make the very obvious connection between atheism and materialism. Okay, yeah, that is kind of reasonable because a lot of atheists just, they're physicalists too. But I don't like it because I want to know what we're talking about, right? So,
Right. That one is just sociology, taking a head count and having a list and doing a poll of, okay, you atheists, how many of you are materialist? How many of you are dualist? How many of you are idealist?
right.
In some form. There's a thing called, philosophical monism, which just means all the universe is made of one type of substance. And a dualist will say, no, there's two kinds of substance. And there's a different
Chalmers.
variety that thinks there's kind of a mixture of the two. And they defend that. Now, just because, only 5% might think that it's a combination of physicalism and materialism, or materialism and dualism or something, then that doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means there's different types, and they could all be atheists, and some of them could actually be believers. I think Danny in an email told me of one philosopher who is a naturalist, but who also believes in God.
Yeah.
So, it takes all kinds, and just because you, for some reason, disprove or eliminate materialism, you haven't gotten to atheism yet. Atheism is a completely different subject, a completely different position, and it's not the opposite of or an alternative to those other ideas about the universe.
Yep.
And I wanted to tell you, Mike, I was listening to Mike Shermer debate John Lennox, and he was using emergence the same way I was the other day, when he should have been using supervenience. So again, I'm just Joe average guy, but Michael Shermer's out there, and he does debates and everything and stuff, and he was using the same argument that I was, that the brain mind thing, that it's just emergent properties of the brain. So here's a guy that's out there, writes books and everything else, and we could say he wasn't exact on his terminology, like you were correcting me. So again, you can be at that next level of debating and writing books and everything, and still be using general terms like emergent.
Okay, so the challenge, and he goes on, the challenge I always present to atheists who try to deny that is for you to give me an example of two common atheist talking points or arguments or positions that contradict materialism. David Chalmers, he is not a physicalist. He is an atheist. He does not believe in any kind of God, but he is not a physicalist. He believes he's a dualist. And he believes that there is something about the universe that makes minds. So David Chalmers, so shut the fuck up. I gave you your example. And when they argue with me, I prefer to know what I'm defending. If I'm defending atheism, well, that's a whole different conversation. That has to do with my life history, right? So anyway, second, it's totally fine if you want to define your identity around simply the negation of a belief. No, I don't define my identity based on atheism. That's not what I do. I define my identity based on my fucking name, Michael P. Brusnak. That's who I am, not an atheist. Okay, but the problem is you then can't engage with anybody beyond simply saying, I don't believe you. Yes, for atheism, that's the case. But no, if you want to, what I was trying to tell the guy, if you want to argue about physicalism, then that's a different conversation. Let's call it that. Let's not do this bullshit that we're talking about atheism. If you want to talk about atheism, then I'm going to want to talk about your belief, because your belief is what I reject. So if your belief is the entire content of my atheism, then we necessarily have to talk about what you believe in and why you believe it. That's the whole fucking point. These guys, they never want to talk about why they believe. They only want to ask us questions and do this
That's because
thing. They don't have a position. What's that? Oh, you burbled. You burbled. Burble's a good word.
It's they pigeonhole you, and then there you are, and then okay, now you're in this spot. Okay, now what?
If you want to positively engage in a discussion, you have to either make positive claims or smuggle them in without justifying them. So which is it? Are you simply a non-believers? A lot of us simply are. I'm sorry. And if we're non-believers, well, then the discussion becomes justify Christianity to us because we don't believe it. We're not buying it. Well, Scott burbled out. He burbled and came back.
And like we said, and not everybody's going to go to theology school or philosophy school or even have the time or maybe not even the interest to pursue these things. They're just regular folks that just want a regular answer. And when you start throwing out philosophy with your shtick that you say so fast we can't even keep track or take notes, well, good for you, but you're not reaching anybody.
Okay, Maya said, I'm sire that I chapped. Did you mean sorry that I chapped his ass? Anyway. Yep, we chapped his ass. Okay, if you are, then how can you ever have anything interesting to say? What the fuck? That doesn't follow. But why should anybody ever talk to you? I don't know why you're talking to me. You're talking to me, dude. I didn't talk to you. You knocked on my door. This is my stream. You don't believe. Okay, good for you. Why should I care? Right. Why should you care? Go ahead.
Well, again, though, there's a lot of wisdom. You could talk to somebody that was never educated, never deeply thought about the meaning of life or anything, and they could be filled with wisdom. You see these videos where they're talking to these 100-year-old people, and they are full of wisdom. And a lot of them, aren't, Stanford educated. They're just salt of the earth, They're just regular people.
Oh, she's
but
sure she chapped somebody's ass.
You can be, so full of wisdom, being 100 years old, even if you've never been educated.
Yeah. Okay, Tsunami. Well, technically, we don't have to. We aren't the ones alleging a God exists. The burden of proof is on these buttholes. I agree. I'm just like, come on, guys, let's have a conversation about Christian superhuman agent gods. That's what I would like to talk to them about. Anyway, okay. So Maya, whose ass did you chap, Maya? I'm guessing you chapped a lot of asses in your career. Anyway,
don't cross the goddess.
Yeah, I know. That's right. And I said, bullshit. I am perfectly comfortable defending hard physicalism and strict naturalism. Just don't give me this shit about that being atheism. If you want me to defend something, then label it properly or admit that you're trying to pull the wool. Same thing for atheism. If you want me to defend that, then ask, don't come up with some argument about physicalism and conflate. I do apologize, and I know you guys are amateurs, but please take correction here. I guess that was a little harsh. I guess I was kind of a dick. Was I a dick?
Nah, not in this crowd. I mean, they're, if you're going to talk their language, then you're doing all right, because that's right. How they talk to us. So
Scott is just like fucking popping in and out, man.
Well, he said he's got a thunderstorm going on there. So
okay, and then he says to me, "This is how language works." What the fuck are you talking about? The same criticism can be leveled at anybody who makes an argument against Christianity, since Christianity is not perfectly defined either. There you go. You're right. People can be Christians for all sorts of reasons, so there's no way to make any argument that fits against the broad category of Christianity. Yes, there is. Okay, I'm making an argument against a Christian superhuman agent God. which all Christians believe in. Don't you think, Dave? Don't they
Yep.
all believe in that mind God, the God with a will, the God with a plan?
Yep, and it's reading your thoughts and watching everything you do,
Right.
and it knows what you're going to do, but it's going to punish you for it anyways, even though you're predisposed to do it.
Yeah, and then he goes off on this little tangent, and yet people do so all the time by inferring things Christians generally believe through interactions with people who call themselves Christians. Same thing here. People rightfully associate atheism with materialism and physicalism. It's probably more apt. Yeah, people associate Christians with young earth creationism and not believing in evolution, and that isn't fair because that doesn't cut to the quick, right? That doesn't cut to the core of it. Stephanie is a superhuman goddess. I agree, Stephanie.
Yeah, and Stephanie and Michael don't have wrenches there, Mike. You're slipping.
What? How not?
There's a couple of people that ain't got wrenches out there. So,
People that don't have wrenches. Stephanie, I think Stephanie rejected a wrench at some point,
oh, okay.
but I'm not sure. I'm gonna make. I don't know. So,
Michael doesn't have one.
yeah, I know Michael should have one. What the hell, Michael? Well, Michael just popped in not too long ago, so I haven't had time. Gotta give me a fucking break. I got a lot of shit to do, man.
I was somebody just mentioned it in the chat, so I was just.
I think everybody got a wrench now.
Everybody got a wrench. All right.
Wrench is in case you want to post the link, Michael. That's what a wrench is for. In case you want to post some content or a link. Basically.
Somebody's channel or something like that. Yeah.
Also, you're a moderator, so you could throw other people off unless they're moderators too. And everybody on my channel is a fucking moderator. So the only person we can actually throw off is Otangelo Grasso.
Or Sal.
Sal, yeah. So there aren't too many people we can throw off. Anyway, Otangelo Grasso or the Brazilian douche canoe, as Stephanie.
B.S. Lewis just showed up too. Howdy.
Hey. Does B.S. Lewis have a wrench? Yes.
He's got a wrench.
We're good.
Covered.
Okay.
All right, back to business.
It's probably more apt to association. Okay, so I don't know what he's whining about. And then Swifter, who's Swifter? So much cope. I think I've already offered to talk to you in VC. Okay, what is VC? I didn't understand Swifter's comment because Swifter, I think, is I think he's on our side. We pick sides. What is VC? Venture capital? I don't know. Swifter is talking to somebody. Anyway, he's responding to Invictus, Jeremy Invictus. Okay, so which of these things do you want to talk about? Hard atheism or physicalism? I asked him, and he still wants to fucking go on. I want to talk about the question at hand, which is that it's perfectly reasonable for people to think of materialism as an auxiliary property of atheism. No, there are a lot of atheists that are not physicalists. A lot of them. I'm still wanting to hear that's wrong. Okay, I just told you. David Chalmers. Can you give me an example? David Chalmers. If not, blah, blah, blah. You look like some sort of clown whining about people conflating the two. Well, talk about clowns whining. Listen to Jim Bob for a half an hour or 4 hours. Okay, atheists don't seem to have any problem picking on low-hanging fruit. Right, low-hanging fruit. Like believing in this fucking myth you came up with. That's low-hanging. You're right. What else are we going to pick on? That's all you got is low-hanging fruit. Do Christians have anything besides the low-hanging fruit?
I don't know. Dan Phelps just had a video posted the other day, and I'm like, oh boy. And because it starts out with, some about evolutionists or something. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Sure enough, he covered Behemoth is a dinosaur, and things I had in my video, like the serpopards. And it went right down the list, the temple in Cambodia with the thing that looks like a stegosaurus. And I'm like, Really? This is a new video, and you guys are still using this garbage over and over.
Christians disagree about everything, he says. Right. Okay, thank you for admitting that one. For example, an atheist makes an argument against Christianity where they talk about the age of the earth. So here he's talking about young earth creationism.
Yeah.
So, fucking atheists disagree about everything too. Jesus Christ.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, you can hear me for the time being anyway.
Yeah. And he says, because there could be only one truth, and you're silly if you... Who is this? This is Outstanding Citizen. You're silly if you think we don't live inside an intelligent creation. Have fun in La La Land, dodging reality. Yeah, he doesn't...
So there he's just venting. He's
not
just
very
venting
bright.
his frustration over the fact that him just asserting things based on Bible quotes or whatever doesn't convince us. That's frustrating, I know, but we don't see it the way he sees it, the different conclusions about certain things, and we're right and he's wrong. That's our attitude. So
yes. So you reject it out of complete ignorance. Typical, he said. He had very bright. I don't think I'll talk to him anymore. Well, no, he's responding on my channel, so I am obligated to talk to him. And here he goes.
They throw that same thing like they were throwing that at Nitti too. Oh, Nitti was never really a Christian. He needs to study the Bible or whatever. And it's like Nitti was a serious Christian, and he was in-depth studying the Bible, like how many days a week and everything. Right. You know what I mean? He was a Christian. So even somebody like that, they're just going to say, "Oh, well, you never read the Bible or anything." And it's like, yeah, he did. He knows it pretty good.
Yeah. So then I posted, oh my God, atheism is just a reaction to Christians and Muslims. So atheism is reactionary. It's just a reaction. Atheists do not believe in superhuman creator agent gods. We would not be a thing. We would not be a thing if it weren't for the strength believers have in numbers. If there weren't a lot of Christians around, atheists would not be a thing. We'd never call ourselves atheists. When anyone else says they are an atheist, they are not talking about their own metaphysics or belief. They're talking about you. Now, to be fair, you have such a weak position that you want to cast atheism as a positive argument for your fairy tale or something like that. No. Oh, okay, you want to cast atheism as being some kind of belief and then skirt out of any kind of responsibility for presenting a positive argument for your fairy tale. However, I like to be precise. If you want me to defend scientism or physicalism, then use some of those labels. If you want me to defend atheism, then we're going to have to talk about why you believe, because I do not. So that's pretty succinct. And where the hell is when I talk about being precise about my labels, and then he says, you're not responding to anything I'm saying. I just did. I told you. Fuck. Responded. To be fair, I had.
Well, if you don't respond the way they want you to, then they say you're not answering the question. That's what I got my runaround with Jim Bob. He asked me a question. I said, I think it's a product of the brain. And then he gives me the look, and it's like, oh, you just give me the same answer you just did. And it's like, yeah, and if you ask me again, I'm going to give you the same answer again. It's 2 + 2 is 4. Well, I'm going to ask you again until you say 5. I'm like, I'm not going to say 5. I'm going to say 4.
Yeah. And then somebody says, I think he says I'm being unfair. And I said, I don't know about being unfair. I do think it's dodging. The argument for atheism is not going to be the enormous argument for physicalism. You guys like to misdirect the discussion because you can't defend your belief. We all know that. Now, an argument for atheism, which in my view is the label for someone who does not believe in sea-shag, is going to be, is going to give reasons for not being convinced. For me, my hard atheism, that has to do with the mind. Let's see, being physical. And of course, in that way, it would quickly lead us to physicalism, but that's just me. For most atheists, it is simply not being convinced that a stinky 3-day-old corpse crawled out of a crypt and ascended somewhere,
Yep.
right? That's what I don't believe in. I don't believe stinky corpses crawl out of crypts. I'm sorry. You got to convince me. Yeah.
And John Lennox, that's his bottom line argument, is he's saying there is historical and scientific evidence for a zombie. And it's like, no, there isn't.
Yep.
No, there isn't. And I could give you many different reasons why a crucified person that they thought was dead wasn't actually dead, or he was dead, and there's a lot of reasons that somebody moved the body. You can have a lot of reasons, and none of them are scientific or historical, especially raising from the dead from a point of cellular death. Now, if you beat somebody and what is it, blunt force trauma, from the severe beating and everything and stuff, he could have been in a deep, deep coma and stab him and everything, and it ain't going to do anything because he's in such a deep coma. And a few hours later, he could have woke up and said, "Oh, crap," and skedaddled out of Dodge.
I don't think that happened.
And any of those are more reasonable than a cellular death, already turned to goo person reincarnated or reanimated. There's many, many, many. And yeah, that's what they're going to say is there's historical and scientific evidence. This is from Lennox, one of the big apologists. And I think William Lane Craig says something similar.
I know.
And there's just not.
If they hang you on a cross for more than 12 hours, you ain't going to skedaddle anywhere. You ain't going to, you're not going to.
And that's the thing with the Jesus story. Really, it only seems like he was up there for a couple hours, maybe. They put him up there in the afternoon and they had to take him down before sundown. And it's like, well, that's only a couple hours.
Not merely in the brain, since consciousness without brain activity. Yeah, consciousness is not something that's just in the brain. I agree with that.
And of course, that's providing they ever took him down from the cross, because that wasn't the norm. So
right, they usually hung him up there until they fell down.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, Christian superhuman agent God, convince me that there is such a thing hanging around in the universe. Show me a fucking sign. Jesus, guys, it ain't that complicated. So anyway, I'm going to go on.
Well, see, that's another argument they'll use, that God wants you to believe because, what does Jesus say? Blessed are those who weren't a witness but believe anyways. So, but people thousands of years ago, they needed all these miracles to be convinced. But today, we're just not supposed to have any of the miracles to be convinced, right? And it's like, well, no, see, that's a conflict. That, well, God doesn't demonstrate himself. Well, yes, he did all through the Bible, right? All kind of miracles and healings and all these things. But then they stopped. And it was only in that one little tiny part of the world, too. But now today, all we're asking for is, like I'll say, well, hey, a proof of a divine, loving being might be empty children's wards, right? Maybe that would just be like, how would we explain it if we woke up and all these kids were skipping out of children's wards in the morning, right? We would have to at least entertain the possibility that it was magic, right? If the doctors are all scratching their heads, right? So, but that doesn't happen.
Oh my God, he's referencing Dr. Sam Parnia studies cardiac. Oh no, Dr. Sam Parnia has been so shit on by peer review. His studies were so bad. I mean, get out of here. Get out of here, dude.
Somebody cited Nathaniel Jeanson to me yesterday, and I'm like, oh, Nathaniel, you mean the guy that blah, 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 and I rattled off his bio from memory, and it's like, is there anything else you want to know about the people that work at AIG?
Oh, my God. He actually thinks that shit has been proven, and the research he's done is Dr. Sam Parnia, a fucking total buffoon.
There you go. Yeah.
Research.
Potholer 54 again.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Check the sources. Check the sources.
You've done your research. You haven't read my particular woo head. I haven't read his woo head. A Jensen citation is worth not worth.
Yeah, you need to look Nathaniel Jensen. It's like, I know Nathaniel Jensen. I won a few rounds with Nathaniel Jensen. He called me a bunch of names and a liar and everything, and then he blocked me. I know how Nathaniel Jensen operates.
Scott, did you take yourself out? I'll put you back, Scott. I don't know what's happening with Scott. Anyway.
It might be his weather.
Yeah.
He's not grounded.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe not. Anyway, so that's kind of the stream. And, the whole question of what is an atheist? Well, atheism now is, for us, it's kind of a community, right? And we wear a tag, atheism, and we could have called it Cub Scouts. We could have called it anything. We just happen to agree that we don't believe in woo bullshit unless you give us a great deal of proof. What I believe in is what's in front of me, what I can touch, what I can feed myself, how I can walk around in the world. I believe science and all that it implies. And Scott.
Well, and don't forget, a lot of the hardcore apologists associate atheism with paganism. So they'll say that's where the, child sacrifice and all the other things come from that atheists do, and we make jokes about, is because they will associate us with paganism, which isn't really atheism either, if you take it to the extended definition of all supernatural things.
Yeah, we get together every Saturday night and we build a fire and sacrifice children because we're atheists. So,
right.
I don't know,
It is. It's associated with paganism. I think I got John Lennox on the brain because I've been watching all this stuff. He says it too, that he associates it with paganism. And you know what those pagans did? Yeah, they sacrificed children and stuff. And he puts those little things out there in people's minds.
God said he doesn't like to be seen in Exodus. I forgot if he said why.
What's up, Road Squatch? How you doing?
Okay, you just get out of bed. You got spooky bed hair, and you don't want to be seen. I can understand why God doesn't want to be seen. Maybe he just got out of bed. And for God, like fucking millennia can be a moment, right? So he just got out of bed 3 minutes ago. Right? He hasn't combed his hair yet. And when he combs his hair, he's going to come and show all us atheists a thing or two, I'm sure. Right?
I don't go on YouTube until you comb your hair, please. Speaking of Sal Bedhead, that guy, he always looks like he just woke up. He's always got one half of his head sticking out, and it's like, dude, a little water, a comb, fix that right up, buddy.
It's like God is an invisible dragon in the garage, except more than one person believes he exists. Yeah. Oh, anyway.
I was proud of my boy, my younger boy. I said something one day, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know what the dragon in the garage is." I was like, "Good man, good man."
Really? People recall what is not possible during this time. Clearly, you don't get it. No. Healing flow. They have tested this over and over. They've never found any conclusive proof that people are recalling shit that happened while their heart was stopped. Okay. They make good guesses as to what happened, and they're, coincidentally right. But no, they have tested this. If they test it and we actually get, like, they put notes up on a shelf and nobody's ever read the fucking note. When you read the note, let me know. If they had a set of 9 numbers or something and they came back with those 9 numbers, then we'd have to say, okay, something's up here. I would say something's up. But no. You're believing bullshit, Healing Flow. You're believing fucking bullshit, and you're not checking your facts. Yes, time and time again they have. Okay, post some papers, Healing Flow. Did I give them a fucking rant? You got a paper? You got to post a paper? Maybe I shouldn't give him a rant. So
Would we get into NDEs here?
Yeah, NDEs is what he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, the famous. They saw the tennis shoes on the roof. And it turns out the tennis shoes were on a window ledge across from the room's view. So again, when you dig into the stories, the miracle healing in Chicago, the woman that supposedly had MS all her life, and then she hopped out of bed and was dancing one day. You know what the source for the story is? Her personal doctor, who is a faith healer.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
It spend a few minutes, looking into the stories like I do, because I get curious. I'm like, wow, this woman with MS jumped out. Well, no, she didn't jump out of bed. It was a faith healer in an editorial thing or something. It's made up.
Healing flow, when you fall asleep or when you get injured or your heart stops for whatever reason, and then you are brought back to life. During the time that you're going down and the time that you're coming up, you're in a state that's very much like a dream state. So when you wake up from a deep sleep and all of a sudden you remember there was a raccoon basically directing traffic or some crazy ass thing that we remember in dreams, what you're remembering is these residual little brain firing networks. Okay. And they tend to create a whole bunch of bullshit in your brain. And that's what these people are responding to, is the bullshit in your brain.
They're also responding to, just because you're unconscious doesn't mean you don't hear things. This is why you hear an alarm clock or your baby crying in the middle of the night. Your ears are still turned on a little, at least somewhat.
Yes.
And it is possible that you heard the doctors and the nurses talking and stuff like that and remember it. It's possible. And it's not miraculous. It's just you heard them talking and you pieced it together and you have a complete picture of it when you wake up, combined with the dream state. There you go. They're explained quite easily.
Okay, healing flow. Is there activity in the brain during this time? Yes, there is. If there wasn't, your neurons would die immediately. You've got ATP, you've got all kinds of stuff going on in these neurons. And you have some axons that are actually firing a signal, basically. And there are neurotransmitters laying around. There's a lot of shit going around. No one has been dead, brain dead, for 3 minutes or more, or had the oxygen cut off.
Just oxygen deprivation can make the brain trip out.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're in the hospital, chances are they've been shooting you up with all kind of drugs, maybe hitting you with adrenaline and all these other things, trying to revive you. You could be a cocktail of medications at the same time.
Yeah, there's never a time during these near-death experiences where your brain is completely frozen dead. I suppose they can drop your temperature and really cut the firing rate down, but shit is going on. There are still neurotransmitters laying around. And when you start to wake up, you're going to have remnants of that experience. And you're going to have profound remnants. It's going to be like being on fucking 1,000 micrograms of LSD when you're coming out of a brain dead experience, because a lot of shit goes wrong. But anyway,
and they're bringing people back longer and longer because they know things like drop them into cryo or something, get them cold, and all these things. They have medications that can slow things down and everything. They can. That's why they put you into these deep comas. It slows things down. So they have some techniques where they're extending the time that they can bring you back. Then there's a couple more minutes of, how many people in a emergency room situation, ICU situation, you got 50 people in and out, and they're all yelling and get this, because they're trying to save your life in a matter of a few minutes. So there's all that yelling and screaming and all the things going on and all the lights going on and all that stuff. And they're opening your eyes and shining the light in, see if your pupils are, you know what I mean? And that's a lot of input for the brain that's already tripping out to try and make sense of, and it can piece together quite a story.
Yep.
And my favorite one is the one guy that he was in such pain from some abdominal thing that he passed out. And while he was passed out, he went to hell, okay? And while he was in hell, he noticed that the demons all wear what seem to look like scrubs as they walk up and down the hallway. You mean like what's going on outside your room? You know what I mean? I mean, come on. You know,
Yeah.
if you just take a minute to listen to their story, he's talking about the demons wear scrubs and walk up and down in the hallway, like what goes on at every hospital, you know.
My grandpa said you can't trust them doctors.
So I've listened to a lot of them, and the one thing about the NDEs is that that they're easily explainable, and the one big factor is most people do not experience anything when they have these cardiac arrests, whatever the situation is. Most of them, nothing, absolutely nothing. Just like when I had my emergency surgery, I told my wife, hey, in case anything happens, I love you. I gave her a kiss. They took me to the room. They hit me with the drug, and boom, I was out, and I was waking back up. Now, I was in a bad state. It was emergency surgery. Was I near death? Well, yeah, if you know, the infection would have spread or something like that or whatever. And I was in a lot of pain. I was doubled over in pain. But nothing. Even though I was thinking about, you know, my wife and kids were my last thought, you know, as they took me off to the operating room. I didn't dream or you know, anything. Nothing, no flashback of my life, not thinking about the wife and kids, nothing. I was out like a light. Yeah. So
I've been out a couple times real powerfully and come back and had dream-like remnants laying around of things that, you know, I could have, like one experience was nitrous oxide. I used to go to the dentist, and I had a dentist that would give me enough nitrous oxide to make me unconscious. And when I went into that experience, do you know what I saw? Like my peripheral vision started to disappear, and there was like blackness in my peripheral field, and it got basically smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it became like a white light, like a fucking tunnel right at the center. And anyway, so I read the neuroscience of that, and what happens is your occipital lobe, your primary visual cortex, start shutting down from the outside in, and the very last parts that are firing pretty intensely, and you tend to see this white light image, and then it goes blip, and you're out after that. And then I would wake up, and I'd be thinking all kinds of weird shit. I mean, it was just like it was an experience. Anyway,
see, I used to have a lot of weird things when I went to the kids' dentist, because when I went to my kids' dentist, he used to put what they called the bozo nose on you, and it was nitrous, right? And then when I turned 17, they kicked you out. They were only for kids. So I went to the adult dentist, you know, and first time I got something, and, you know, they come at me with the needle and everything. I'm like, hey, where's the fun gas, you know? Oh, we don't really use that anymore, you know? And it's like,
yeah, they should.
Oh, man, I'm old enough to appreciate it now. And
right. Okay, in 2001, Parney and colleagues published the results of a year-long study of cardiac arrest survivors. 63 survivors. 7 had memories of the time they were unconscious.
There you go. Yeah.
How do you prove that it's a memory of the time you were unconscious? 4 had experiences that, according to the study criteria, were near-death experiences. Out-of-body claims were tested by placing figures on suspended boards facing the ceiling, not visible from the floor. No positive results were reported, and no conclusions could be drawn due to the small number of subjects. Anyway, and he keeps trying. I mean, this guy really wants to prove this shit. But
yeah, so you got a percentage that even have anything, and out of that percentage, that gets cut back and cut back and cut back. And you got the UFO thing where 99% of them are explained, and then they're going to say, but, aha, there's 1% you can't explain. And it's like, there's always some things that can't be fully explained. That doesn't prove a UFO or an NDE.
Science writer Mike McRae has noted while Parnia's work contributes valuable data to understanding NDE as a cultural phenomena, his speculations do indeed sit on the brink of pseudoscience.
Yeah,
this is your only source, dude. Come on.
And that's the other thing. Yeah, if they do have a memory, a Christian sees Jesus, a Muslim sees Muhammad or Allah. A Hindu sees Shiva or somebody. Yeah, it's quite a coincidence that somebody from the other end of the world doesn't see Jesus, or vice versa. So,
yay! Andrew's going to be on Dr. Dan.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. So you'll have to give us a link. And,
yeah, I think they're going to be discussing the less common objections to universal common descent or something like that.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, some of the stuff that doesn't hit your major talking points.
That's going to be on Creation Myths. Okay, let me see if they got it set up. Does Dr. Dan have it set up as an upcoming?
By the way, Dr. Dan and Dr. Zach, I guess we can call him, Zach Hancock, did their joint stream about reviewing their paper that they did against, I know the S in
Dr. Basner and Sanford.
Sanford, yeah, Sanford and Sanford. And but also there's on the Zach Hancock channel, there is like a 1 hour video of him breaking down the math that he dealt with in that paper. So if you watch it, he does a really accessible job of helping you understand Fisher's theorem and how the price theorem is derived from Fisher, or how Fisher is derived from price.
Yeah.
But without having to make unnecessary assumptions.
Yeah,
I heard that.
The fundamental theorem of biology, I think it's called Fisher's theorem. Cell goes on about that, and Dr. Dan and Zach go over how hardly anybody in evolutionary biology even knows about the fucking theorem, because the theorem is about a particular part of population genetics, and it's one particular proof of the mathematical nature of populations and with mutations, right? And so Fisher's fundamental theorem isn't really like that big a thing. I mean, it's the way Cell talks about it. It's like, oh yeah, it's a fundamental theorem. It's like no.
for one little thing.
It's a mathematical proof that if you have all these ideal situations, and this is what's going to happen, and this is the rate that you're going to end up with mutations, basically.
That's because people like Sal don't do their own science. They only do the science that creationists like Sanford and them do. And if Sanford is spreading that the wrong silly information, then Sal's going to react to that. So I can understand why he's making a big deal out of it. It's just that Sal doesn't care about science; he cares about creationism.
God damn it, B.S. Lewis! I got all these books here. No mention of Gödel's incompleteness theorem in any of them.
And B.S. I think also mentioned false memories, and we've talked about that before, Mike, where the brain can piece together things, even just from a moment ago. Trying to recall what we were just talking about can be changed already in my memory.
And the crazy thing is, even real memories that are factual and true and can be verified feel like false memories after you've remembered them and talked about them enough, because you're constantly rewriting that memory, right? And I've had a few instances of I've got a lot of memories from my youth, right? And I've doubted them, so I've gone and I've tried to verify a few of them. But some of the ones that I think, oh God, it seems like I made this up because I talked about it so much. And then I went back and I verified the fucking memory. So the memory was correct, but it didn't feel correct anymore because I had remembered it so much, which is really a weird phenomena. But anyway.
That's like when I got hit by a van when I was on my bike when I was a kid. I've remembered her so many different ways,
Oh yeah.
And are any of them right? Probably not, because I had a concussion. I hit my head when I fell off, and
well, I got into a motorcycle.
I was goofy for a week, so
I got into a motorcycle accident, and I remember a whole bunch of stuff from that accident. And the person that recovered me, and I went later and I verified it, and I had a really bad concussion. But my memory was accurate. I was putting down memories, and I actually process them in time to actually put down long-term memories. And there was nothing wrong with it except a few things that were weird, like time slowed down. I was standing in an intersection bleeding profusely from my head, and I stood my bike up, and then I remember standing my bike up more than one time. So apparently I fell down. I never verified that part of it, but it seems like I fell down in between. And I remember this woman going by and looking at me, looking over at me, and just driving past me in the intersection. And then other cars went by and nobody would stop. Then all of a sudden, one brave guy stopped and brought out his white shirt and wrapped it around my head. And I don't know who he was, but anyway. But yeah, you do remember a lot of shit from accidents, because when you're in trauma, you basically, time slows down and you become hyper aware, and you can put together a lot of stuff. So pieces of that accident, Dave, were probably accurate little pieces, but then over time you put them together in different ways and you can get them all fun.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, that again is just, piecing together anybody's story. Let's take a religious story. Those people just piece together parts of their memories with things that they were already in their memories, like what they already believed and everything.
Right.
So, again, they say, well, the Gospels were written so many years later and everything and stuff. That just makes it worse. But it doesn't even have to be, because immediately after something, and this happens every day when police are taking eyewitness reports from the accidents and stuff, it was a blue car, it was a red car, it was a green car. Yeah. Person A is at fault. No, person B was at fault, right? So now put that into, well, this is my eyewitness account. Well, yeah, good for you, but how much can we trust it? Well, you think I'm lying? I'm like, no, I just think that the brain can be a crazy thing.
Yep.
And most of the experts will agree, and they're not gonna say that the witnesses are all lying because one said a red car, one said a green car, and one said a blue car, because the officers have their own information. They took the VIN numbers. They know it was a green car. So even though the person said red car, well, yeah, because it was a flash in time. It's dark out. The color looks different because of the street lights, whatever. But they're looking for, what caused what car to hit the other car. Whereas you can take that story and it doesn't matter what car hit what car. It was a green car and a red car. Well, how you remember the story makes a big difference in how you retell the story too. So if you don't care about this detail and you only care about this detail, that's what you're going to retell. So that's why there's all these fields of psychology and psychiatry and everything else, and neurology, because trying to figure out how the brain works, and all the experts will tell you, well, we're still working on it, and then that's the open door for the apologist to say, aha, see, you don't know everything. So yeah.
So I like my sea shag.
I like the sea shag.
The sea shag is good. So
that's the thing. When they say we rejecting, well, you reject the Bible God, and it's like, well, yes, because the stories seem ridiculous. How about you have a story about a God that doesn't talk about sacrificing animals and, chasing demons out of people, when we know for sure that these people have either a physical or a mental illness. That's what their problem was. And with proper medication or treatment, all of a sudden, the demons kind of go away, don't they? But straight from God, no, do some mumbo jumbo, chase demons out of people, which never cured anybody. And we know better now. So time and place and everything, and trying to move it to centuries into the future. Now, you can be moderate and say, yeah, okay, we don't accept a lot of these things. Obviously, Noah's Ark didn't happen, Adam and Eve didn't happen, but we know for sure that Jesus was a zombie. And it's like, now hold on, you've got to hang on to that little thing. But then at the same time, you're willing to almost laugh at the other things that people would believe, like a flat Earth or a Ken Ham with man riding dinosaurs. But it really bugs me when you're already open to a supernatural belief that a lot of people think is silly, but then you're laughing at these other ones that have these supernatural beliefs. And then I really get bothered, because you're a believer in supernatural beliefs. You, above all, should not be laughing at people that have other supernatural beliefs, but they do, just like we do. So obviously there is something there that triggers, now wait a minute, that's just silly, right? But not for my thing. You know what I mean? Everything else is silly. Yeah, BS. I reject Santa Claus. Yeah, that's silly for a grown adult to believe in Santa Claus. Why? What's wrong with believing in Santa Claus? You're going to get presents and stuff. It's kind of a good thing. There's no hellfire or anything, right? But yeah, you can hang on to, though, the zombie's going to throw you to hell, though. It's very peculiar.
Oh, where are the settings in this thing?
And yes, I was there, BS. I am everywhere.
So this is the conversation I would like to have with believers about atheism. Okay, so they believe that the Christian superhuman agent God, so he thinks, he's aware. We know he's aware, right? Because he's watching us, right? He plans. We know, we talk about God's plan. Does he feel? Because he has all these moral feelings, right? And these moral sensibilities. So and he loves us, so right? So he must feel. So
and he's a person. According to Christians, he's a person. It's a personal God. He is a person.
Personhood. So he has like an identity, right? So he has personhood, right? But when he thinks, okay, thinking is a sequential thing over time. You don't think in an instant, right? So, but apparently, like, God is not subject to time, so he could do a whole lot of thinking in a discrete instant of time, apparently. So we have to swallow that.
But there has to be time.
Putting together a gadget to escape or something, he can just put it all together and think of it instantly.
But it still has to be in some form of time. And when Turek and the rest say he's outside of time, then how do you think or do anything if there's no time passing?
Yeah, when you
so there has to be another dimension of time that the God exists in, because yet in order to do anything, it just took me a second or two to say that, So you have to have time to, because even with God, he did everything with the word. So if it's speaking a word, you spoke a word that took a millisecond to speak the word, that's you have to have some kind of time there.
Yeah, thinking is like painting or sculpting. You keep adding, ideas and considering different things, or you keep cutting away ideas. Sculpting would be cutting away, and painting would be adding, to the thing. So that almost has to happen over time. What sense would it? Because if you were thinking instantaneously, you wouldn't need to do all the intermediate steps. You just come up with the answer. Just answer.
And would you even be thinking? Because that again would take time. If it's instant, then it's just like a program or something that's just instantly accessed. There's again, what are these rules that are set up for God, right? Why does God have to follow these rules supposedly?
B.S. Lewis got pwned. Anyway. Oh, you don't know everything.
And I see BS over there in the Jim Bob chats too. He's poking the bear over there too.
What do we got here? Yeah. BS Lewis is poking the bear with me. YUET. What can we do with that?
Well, I don't think the capital letters really spell anything out. I think he's just randomly, capping.
You reject Santa Claus. You bastards. How could you do that? How could you do that to the children? Think of the children.
Yeah, well,
Children.
Lennox, and now I had the audience laughing about Bishop Usher. Oh, how silly he calculated the Earth to be 6,000 years old on, what is it, October 9th or something like that, right? And he's laughing and everybody's laughing, and it's like, now wait a minute, this is a religious person here. And they were supposedly got the Holy Spirit and everything, and they're reading the Bible, and this is what they're getting out of it, and they're laughing about it. And it's like,
wasn't Usher like Catholic or Episcopalian? I mean, does that really count?
Well, he's the one that calculated the 6,000 years from the
yeah. Being facetious.
So I'm guessing he's Catholic, Bishop Usher. So
see, there to most evangelicals that doesn't count.
But it was just the thing of, they aren't laughing. He likes to get the yucks for bringing up Richard Dawkins or Hitchens and getting laughs and stuff. But they're laughing at Bishop Usher, who, let's just put it in him that he was, let's say he's devout, right? He's a believer, and he's just reading the Bible, and he's saying, hey, I figured out the Earth was started on, I think it's October 9th or something like that. He calculated it out to be. And the famous line was, I'm sorry, I can't be more specific, or something like that, right? And they're all laughing about it. And I'm like, well, see, so you can laugh at things that are just ridiculous, right? Oh, but don't you dare laugh about our, the zombie part. And it's like, but you're laughing about other parts,
When Christians tell me their story, I take it in the same way I would take a 4-year-old telling me about Santa Claus, or telling me about their pink unicorn that they befriended.
Or a Jeffersonian type Bible where Jesus was a nice guy, Jesus taught nice things, but Jesus didn't walk on water. Well, that's more believable, but at the same time, it's not a great story. It's just, there was this nice guy. Oh, ho hum, right? But he walked on water. Wait a minute. He walked on water? Yeah, tell me more, right? So, yeah.
Roman Emperor Facetious sounds like Donald Trump. We should rename him that. He's having to be at that criminal trial every day, and he's pretty butthurt about it. I'm too cold.
The jokes are all about his bad gas. So, yeah, I've got the memes that they're calling him Farticus. So,
you see, Michael Bell, if I didn't make you a moderator, you wouldn't be able to post that link.
Yeah.
You see how nice I am?
That's why wrenches for everybody.
Page not found. Page has been removed from the site. Please try searching. It doesn't work. Your link doesn't work. Some bitch. Oh, that link doesn't work. I don't know why. Oh, what the fuck? It's not complete. Open link in new tab. Nope. Page not found. Maybe we can search it up. I don't know. Anyway. Well, that's a nice try there, Michael. Needs more room. Oh. Okay, live science, Christianity denominations. I'll try to look it up.
Looking it up.
A totally unrelated subject. There is a series called Fargo. I think it's got 5 seasons now, but the first season had Billy Bob Thornton, and he was in Duluth, and a cop stopped him, and he goes through this long explanation for this cop, and then he says, "There be dragons." And the cop looked at him and realized that he had a gun and he was going to kill the cop. And so the cop got back into his car and drove off. It was the most profound and wonderful moment in Hollywood that I'd ever seen, where Billy Bob Thornton says, "There be dragons." It was pretty cool. And one should watch that first episode. I think it's in the first or second episode of the first season of Fargo. So anyway. Billy Bob is so cool. So cool. I like him. Michael Bell, try it again. Let's see if Michael
Bad Santa's my favorite.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we got it. Let's have a look here. Oh, where are we at? My bad. Good notes. Chromal. Okay. What's the most fascinating discovery? What? Wait a minute. Oh, come on. Fuck this shit. What the? Stop it. Okay. Followers of Jesus span the globe, but the global body of more than 2 billion Christians is separated into thousands of denominations. List goes on. 45,000 globally, according to the Center for Study of Christianity. My goodness. Yeah, not much to hang on to there.
Reading the same book, that's God's word is clear. If you're reading it and you believe, you're filled with the Holy Spirit, which means you have some kind of divine connection so that you can have a better understanding when you're reading it and have the personal relationship with God. 45,000 denominations can't agree.
What guy going to join? Grignard Reagent? He's annoying comments. Oh, you mean no? I've asked him to. I've asked over and over for some of those guys to come over here and join us and have a talk. But if they want to, I'd love to set up just a talk between me and a Christian. It would be a nice talk, and as long as they're honest. Now I'm going to go on Billy Bob's channel, or Billy Jimmy Bob, or whatever the fuck his name is. Is it Jimmy Bob? Is it Jimmy Bill? What's his name? Jim Bob.
Jim Bob, like on the Waltons.
I'm going to go on Jim Bob's channel, and I'm probably going to be booted. I think I'm going to be booted off within about 3 minutes, is my prediction.
And you'll get the gopher screaming at you.
Because I don't want to play his fucking interrogation game. Oh, is physics true or is it false? Is a blade of grass true or false? It's like, no, I don't want to play that. If he wants to have a talk about philosophy, then he's going to have to kind of like work with me a little bit, So I'm probably not going to be on there very long, but we'll see. We might have a good talk,
I lasted a few minutes. So
Nerdy wants to talk about your expectations.
What are my expectations? Honest Christian.
Very, very low. Yeah, there. Michael's got the idea. We'll set up a pool for how long you last.
Okay, Grignard Reagent has found him to be very dumb and dishonest. He's kind of got a half-assed education, but I don't think he's smart enough to realize what he should do with it or how to use it.
He does. Yeah, to be fair, I don't think he's truly an idiot, but he's playing to an audience. So,
are we gonna have a pool? We need a pool.
Yeah. We need a pool. Yeah.
Yeah. How long is speed gonna last on Jim Bob's channel? I might microdose mushrooms that day, and I might maybe just I'm very happy and accommodating. I don't know.
Yeah, just don't let them get under your skin. Then
what I need to be is
me and Deconverter Man both. We just kept brushing it off, and we just kept saying, "Yeah, okay." But back to the question,
I have to microdose methamphetamine. Maybe that'll help.
And he threw the screaming gopher at him and everything, and Deconverter Man's like, "Oh yeah, okay, haha," like, "Yeah, you got me." Back to the question, right? So,
but on some level, differentiation and variety have been markers of Christianity since the very beginning, according to Diarmaid McCullough, Professor Emeritus of the Church History. Did I say that right? At the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom. There's never been a united Christianity. Never.
Yes, there's comments there from Reagent there.
Where are we?
I've engaged with him a lot. He's horrible. And I imagine the Discord is a mess.
Oh my God, the Discord, I wouldn't go on that shit. He got butt fucked so many times in his Discord. Is that butt fucked? Let's see. We can't say butt fuck on this channel.
Yeah, don't say that. We'll have to bleep it out.
No,
You're gonna scare the Christians off talking about butt
Well,
fucking.
I'm not going to get monetized if I say butt fuck too much.
Oh man, gosh.
If you go, okay. If you're going
Hey,
to
have you checked into getting
yeah, what is it?
You've got more than 500 subs. You should be able to check into getting some goodies.
Goodies? Do I get goodies?
They've got a new thing now at 500. You get you can get like some of the super chat stuffs and whatnot. You should look into it. You might be able to qualify.
God, I don't know. I guess I could, money would really be nice, but God, I hate to ask anybody for money.
Folks like stuff though. I mean, the little emojis and everything. Have you seen Punk Apostate just got his stuff all monetized, whatever. He's got Ray Comfort emojis with the banana in his mouth and stuff like that.
Yeah, we could do some merch, and we had some good ideas for T-shirts, me and Scott, but we forgot them, didn't we, Scott?
We were going to sell T-shirts, but then we got high. We were going to set up monetization, but then we got high.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they do have the new thing though, because Maya and Joe and a couple of them, they've got partial things where they've got super chats and stuff. So you might want to look into it.
Oh my God, he told you truth is Jesus. Yeah, because he wants to talk about truth and falsity. I mean, truth is a concept in mathematics and logic. It's called the characteristic function. It's a way to divide a set of propositions into a binary two container, basically, what the fuck? Yeah, you have a set with two containers, true and false, and that's all it is. Other than that, truth, we were kicking it around a little bit, Scott, this morning. Truth could mean what is real, what is in front of me. Yeah. But we always have a proposition, and he wants to say, well, if propositions are physical, it's like, fuck. If propositions are physical, and they are, it's going to take me we're going to have to come up with a specific case. Like we have a man named Sam who comes up with a proposition, there is a raccoon in my yard. Now, if we want to talk about that being physical, we have to look at the biology of Sam. We have to look at the evolution of Sam. We have to look at his yard. We have to look at the raccoon. We have to look at all of that. And yeah, then we could reduce it to physical. But why the fuck would we do that? It's stupid, right? Truth and logic and all that, it's a language game, and we're playing a language game, and that is an entirely different category than the physical version of what's going on when a person makes a proposition. He conceded that propositions could be physical. Let's see. Okay, he won't define support. Yeah. Okay, I got to keep up with you, man. Even Christianity is not unified. Okay, he will dodge many times. Eventually, the only answer. Okay, truth is Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Whenever you say truth is, and then insert the name of a person, you're saying this. I'm joined a cult because that's such a silly thing, to say when you're talking about logic as it was assembled and put together over the last few centuries. And of course I know Aristotle, I think, talked about logical principles as well, but to say I am the way, the truth, and the life, or Jesus is truth, it's kind of a literary flourish for people of a religious tendency. And we were saying basically everything I say and do, I have, the mental faculties I have, those are all right, and you should follow me. That's what that is saying. When you say truth is Jesus, you're just saying I'm a dogmatic Christian, and I don't really want to think about things or think things through.
Yeah. Well, that's Lennox's logic, because the Bible says that everything was started with the Word, and Jesus says he is the truth, which is the word. So that proves that he's God incarnate because everything is made by the word.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. That's what I'm getting from a top apologist. That's his best argument.
Yeah, I'm sure that even in
everything
the first
is
century,
the word.
I'm sure even in the first century, when people talk like that, logos or whatever, there was a lot of people that scratched their heads because it just kind of smells like old gym socks.
It's Jesus that I'm talking to you right now. Yeah, we could use Jesus for truth. Just say, "Hey, it's Jesus."
Well, and that's the thing too. It's ha ha ha. These physicists trying to figure out the Big Bang and what happened before the Big Bang. Was there anything before the Big Bang? Oh, this and that. We already know it was the Word, and it's like, and all I want to do is break into. Has everybody heard about the bird? The bird is the word.
Oh yeah, that guy. He ended up becoming a lawyer. The guy that did that song.
Did he?
Oh, yeah, yeah. He I think he lives in Minneapolis. He was interviewed like 30 years after he released it, and he was talking about the whole fucking thing. That was a great song. Anyway, so next time I get pulled over by the cops and they ask me for my ID or say, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm going to say, Jesus. Jesus. I'll see how fucking far I get with that.
There's a kid that answers one of the questions on a test with Jesus, and their teacher's note is, "See me after class." Nice try, but that's not going to fly on the test. Okay. Improbability. Did you already put that up? Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Fuck. What are we both doing at the same time?
We're both trying to put it up there. Okay, we both had a great idea.
I gave him. We do it at the same time. Inference about the improbability of co-occurring mutations being separately created kinds on his view, and he said probability is impossible to determine if you don't know all the favorable outcomes. Okay. I want to get out of here, guys. I want to get away. Do you want to get away? Get away now. Oh, yeah. Another one. You got me breaking into song. I want a super chat. And when I sing, I expect a super chat. So you got to get monetized. So. Yeah. Monetized. Oh, no. I made Joe $5 for breaking out in song. So, I mean, I'd be glad to help out. I'm kind of used to giving money to other people all my life, so it's kind of hard to switch that up. But I am retired and poor now. I'm not that. I used to have a lot of fucking money, and now I don't. And it really hurts. It really hurts. Oh, but I should have saved. What an asshole I was. Oh my God. What an asshole. Well, even the other side will, give you super chats if they know that you're going to read them. So, yeah. Oh, there you go. I take money from them. Yeah, Anyway. Okay, guys, I kind of want to get out of here. I got to go outside. I got to go for a while.
All right, guys. Well, I just want to thank everybody from the side chat from both channels for joining us today. And I hope we have dealt with issues directly so that our interlocutors cannot accuse us of dodging. But somehow I think they will anyway.
Yeah, they will. I don't want to dodge. I really want to have conversations with people, but God, it would be nice to have an honest conversation with them. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Oh, I was going to say, Mike and myself, and I'm sure Scott too. I mean, we're always open to talking to people. We often say, come on our channels, and as long as it's a civil discourse, be happy to have a chat with you about just about anything. Because I'll talk about religion. I'll talk about Bigfoot. I'll talk about ghosts. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a civil discussion. I'm happy to have them. I'm interested in these things, but if it's just going to be a name calling
go to the Discord or go to X, whatever, and call each other names. But
one of the things
I'm not gonna fix my face and set up my mic and my camera and everything to be called names. I'm not gonna make that effort.
One of the things I mentioned in Jim Bob's community channel is that Jim Bob has a show, and his show is supposed to make atheists look silly, right?
Right. Yeah, he's playing to a crowd. Yeah.
That's why I got mad at Danny a while back, because Danny had a show, and his show was to make atheists look silly. People that just bring you on so they can kind of trip you up with whatever fucking word game they're playing, and they have all kinds of screaming gophers and crap, and handy. It's a show, right? I don't want to be on who was that guy that just died that had the show where he'd bring in he'd bring in some pregnant woman and turn out that it wasn't their husband's child. What the fuck was
Povich?
Yes. Was it him? He just died, right?
I don't know if he died. Jerry Springer just
Jerry
died.
Springer. No, Jerry Springer's the one I'm thinking of. Anyway, I don't want to be on fucking Jerry Springer's show. Right? I mean, I want to have a talk. I want to have an actual talk, and I want to change my mind. I want to explore philosophy, try to justify my positions, and change my mind. Because every time I explain physicalism to somebody, it changes my mind. I don't change away from physicalism, but it more it helps
things.
Understand why I believe what I believe, right?
And Al's comment up there, if you want some humorous songs, Al's got a couple on his channel there.
Okay.
He does what do you call them? Parodies.
Okay.
So yeah, check out Al Trucker there.
Let's see if I can link his channel. Subscribe. I'm not subscribed. Is consciousness about everything? Songs about a whole? Science and questions? Obesity? That one? Is that Al?
Sounds about right. Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to link that in my description, and we'll put it in. We'll put it in here too, so that everybody can get it. But now we got to go, guys. Now we got to go.
Yeah, right as the weather clears up.
Well,
we're still struggling here today, but they're calling for near 80 on Sunday, so it's going to turn around after today. So
it's going to be nice.
Well, apparently, we're supposed to get rain every day for the next 9 days, so that'll probably change. I just don't see that happening, but that's what the
we got 2 days. 2 days of rain. I'm going to go for a walk in the rain. It's raining out there right now. I'm going to try walking down the hill in the rain, and the hill is like this really slippery mud. So it's probably the last show I will be doing.
Or maybe just not go and say you did. You got a treadmill?
I do. I could run on the treadmill, but that just
walk on the treadmill. You don't have to go outside and risk, getting trapped out in nature and nobody know where you are.
That ain't no fun. That ain't no fun.
Well, trying to have hip surgery next.
And I want to go down a 90-foot hill with a sharp, probably a 45-degree incline. And I want to go down, and the mud is slippery, and it's raining, and I'm gonna go.
I'm having visions of Romancing the Stone when they went sliding down the hill.
I couldn't remember the name of the movie. Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh yeah, it's Romancing the Stone. Okay, now we gotta go, guys. We gotta go.
Well, everybody have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, people in the chat on both channels. You've been very good. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wait a minute. I got one more comment, and then I can say goodbye, cruel world.
He's got to duck in real quick, huh?
Yeah, we get together and talk about nothing. Oh, yeah. Well, if you're not smart enough to keep up, it might appear that way. But
we talked about a whole lot of nothing for what an hour.
Yeah, hour and I'm not sure. Anyway, goodbye, cruel world. We're out of here.